It was the morning of August 13th, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, a quiet suburban town where nothing truly shocking ever seemed to happen. Shanann Watts, a 34-year-old mother of two, had just returned home from a business trip. She was 15 weeks pregnant with her third child and looking forward to a hopeful future with her husband, Chris, and their growing family. But by mid-morning, Shanann and her two daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, were nowhere to be found. Their shoes still sat by the door. Shanann's car remained parked in the garage. Her purse and phone were inside the house. It was as if the young mother and her children had simply vanished. When her friend Nicole Atkinson raised the alarm and called police, Frederick officers responded quickly. They knocked on the door of the Watts home. And it was there, on police body cam footage still available today, that the world first saw Chris Watts. Calm, collected, and strangely detached as he explained away his family's disappearance. This would soon become one of the most disturbing cases in modern American true crime history. A story of betrayal, obsession, and the coldest kind of murder, the killing of one's own family. Today, we uncover the shocking story of Chris Watts, the Colorado father who led a double life, and the investigation that exposed his darkest secret. Chris and Shanann met in 2010. Friends recall that Chris was quiet and reserved, while Shanann was outgoing, ambitious, and full of energy. Shanann had faced health challenges, including lupus, but built a thriving career in direct sales. By 2012, the couple married and moved into a spacious 5-bedroom house in Frederick. To the outside world, the Watts family looked picture perfect. Shanann regularly shared videos on Facebook of family trips, birthday parties, and her daughter singing songs to their dad. She doted on Chris, often calling him the best husband ever. Their videos painted a storybook picture of family life. But behind the lens, Shanann was increasingly worried. Chris had grown distant. He was quiet, less affectionate, and seemed preoccupied. What she didn't know was that her husband was having an affair with a coworker named Nicole Kessinger, a relationship that would eventually destroy everything. On the night of August 12, 2018, Shanann returned late from a work trip to Arizona. A friend had dropped her off around 2 a.m. Just hours later, she and the girls were gone. By 8:30 a.m., Nicole Atkinson, one of Shanann's close friends, grew concerned. Shanann had missed a doctor's appointment for her pregnancy, and calls to her phone went unanswered. Nicole drove to the Watts home, noticing Shanann's car in the garage, but no sign of her. She rang the bell, knocked on the door, and eventually called police. Officer body cam footage, now widely available online, captured the scene. Nicole anxiously pacing outside, Chris arriving moments later, strangely casual as he greeted officers and let them inside. The footage shows Shanann's purse on a chair, her shoes by the door, and her phone left on the couch. For a pregnant woman to leave her house without these essentials was alarming. Chris shrugged, offering explanations that Shanann might have gone to a friend's house. His tone was calm, too calm, many would later say. Neighbors were quick to notice Chris's odd behavior. One neighbor told police he wasn't acting like himself. Another provided surveillance footage showing Chris backing his truck into the garage early that morning. He appeared to load something large into the vehicle. At this point, police had no proof of foul play, but suspicions were growing. Chris gave interviews to local news outlets, pleading for his family's safe return. Yet viewers noticed his lack of emotion, his flat voice, and his strange smiles. Meanwhile, detectives began digging into his phone records and financial history. They quickly uncovered inconsistencies. Shanann's texts revealed a failing marriage. and Chris's phone data exposed a double life. He was having an affair with Nicole Kessinger, a coworker who believed Chris was in the process of divorcing his wife. By August 15th, investigators called Chris in for questioning. They asked him to take a polygraph test. He agreed and failed. When confronted with the results, detectives pressed harder. At first, Chris stuck to his story. Shanann had taken the kids somewhere, and he had no idea where they were. But under pressure, he finally confessed, though not the full truth. He claimed that after he told Shanann he wanted a separation, she killed their daughters in a rage. In response, he said, he strangled her in anger. But forensic evidence would soon dismantle this version of events. Investigators searched Chris's work site, an oil field belonging to Anadarko Petroleum, where he worked. There, they discovered the unthinkable. Shanann's body was found buried in a shallow grave. The two little girls had been shoved into oil tanks. The truth was horrifying. Chris had strangled Shanann in their bedroom, then smothered his daughters in the back seat of his truck before dumping their bodies. He later admitted in court documents that Bella, the eldest, fought for her life, asking, "Daddy, please don't." These words would haunt investigators, prosecutors, and the nation. At the same time, police interviewed Nicole Kessinger, Chris's mistress. Nicole insisted she believed Chris was already separating from Shanann. She claimed she had no idea he was capable of murder. Investigators later discovered searches on her phone like, "Can cops trace text messages?" and Amber Fry, the mistress of Scott Peterson, another infamous family annihilation case. Though Nicole was never charged, her involvement became a key piece of the motive. Chris wanted to start a new life with her, free from the responsibilities of a family. In November 2018, Chris accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He pleaded guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, including the murder of his unborn son, Nico, as well as tampering with a deceased body and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. During sentencing, Shanann's parents gave heartbreaking victim impact statements. Shanann's father called Chris a heartless monster. Her mother, Sandy, said, "You carried them out like trash." The judge condemned Chris's actions as the most inhumane and vicious crime I have handled in my career. Chris Watts was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. Even after his sentencing, the case continued to shock the public. Discovery documents released by Weld County revealed chilling details. Chris had researched how to maintain an affair without getting caught. He had calculated how much money he could save after his family was gone. Shanann's text showed her begging to save their marriage, unaware of the danger she was in. Today, Chris is held at a maximum security prison in Wisconsin. Shanann's family continues to honor her memory, raising awareness for domestic violence and family safety. The Watts murders remain a tragic reminder that even the most picture-perfect families can hide terrifying secrets. The story of Chris Watts isn't just about a man who killed his family. It's about the facade of perfection, the lies we choose to believe, and the deadly consequences of living a double life. Through body cam footage, surveillance videos, and Shanann's own social media posts, this case became one of the most documented family murder cases in U.S. history. And even now, years later, the world still asks, how could a man murder the people who loved him the most?